Think California's housing market is finally finding its balance in 2026? Think again. Behind the glowing headlines about a soft landing, the truth is much harder to swallow. For many Californians, owning a home has never been more expensive, more complicated, or more deeply uncertain. After years of record prices and punishing interest rates, this so-called recovery is looking incredibly fragile. Affordability keeps violently slipping away. Insurance premiums, especially for wildfire and coastal coverage, have completely skyrocketed nearly 20% since last year.
Think California's housing market is finally finding its balance in 2026. Think again. Behind the glowing headlines about stabilization and soft landings, the truth is much harder to swallow. For many Californians, owning a home has never been more expensive, more complicated, or more uncertain. After years of record prices and punishing interest rates, the so-called recovery is looking fragile. Home prices remain among the highest in the nation, but affordability keeps slipping. Insurance premiums, especially for wildfire and coastal coverage, have soared nearly 20% since last year. And despite mild cooling in some metros, the population exodus hasn't stopped. More than 300,000 people left the Golden State in 2025, chasing lower taxes, cheaper housing, and a more sustainable life elsewhere. The problem? Too few buyers, too much inventory, and rising risks that most families can't afford to ignore. From the wildfire belt of Southern California to the overbuilt suburbs of the Bay Area, warning signs are flashing across the map. Realtors may still sell the sunshine, but the math no longer works. In some cities, homeownership has become a financial trap, one that could quietly drain savings, wealth, and stability for years to come. So before you pack your bags for paradise, take a closer look. Stay with us because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which California cities to avoid before the 2026 housing correction hits full force. Number 10. Los Angeles. The city of angels, luxury, and relentless ambition is entering 2026 under heavy pressure. Behind the movie lights and palm-lined streets, the housing reality is far from glamorous. The median home price sits around $860,000. While the median household income barely reaches $78,000. That gap leaves most first-time buyers out of the game entirely. The math is brutal. A typical monthly mortgage now exceeds $4,000, and that's before insurance, property tax, or HOA fees. Interest rates may have cooled slightly from their 2025 highs, but they're still hovering near 6.5%, hardly a relief. Meanwhile, insurance premiums have doubled since 2022, driven by worsening wildfire exposure and heat-related claims. Even iconic neighborhoods like Silver Lake Echo Park and West Hollywood are seeing longer listing times and deeper price cuts. Nearly 25% of homes dropped their asking price in the first quarter of 2026. Outbound migration remains relentless. More than 30,000 residents left Los Angeles since 2023. Citing cost congestion and rising crime. And while new luxury projects keep sprouting downtown, the middle-class backbone of the city is fading fast. Teachers, nurses, and creatives, the people who make Los Angeles function, are being priced out of the very place they built. The irony? For a city built on dreams, homeownership has become its biggest illusion. Number 9. Oakland. Once the beating heart of Bay Area culture and diversity is now facing a hard reckoning in 2026. For decades, it offered an alternative to San Francisco, more affordable, more authentic, more real. But those days are fading fast. The median home price now stands at roughly $710,000, while the median household income barely touches $82,000. That mismatch has turned the dream of homeownership into a slow bleed. Over 30% of listings in early 2026 saw price cuts, and homes are sitting unsold for an average of 65 days, more than double the time just 2 years ago. But the real threat isn't price, it's confidence. Oakland now ranks among the top 5 cities in America for property crime. Car thefts, break-ins, and assaults have driven both residents and small investors to the exits. Since 2024, more than 11,000 people have left the city, taking their tax dollars, their businesses, and their optimism with them. Meanwhile, wildfire exposure and aging infrastructure have driven insurance costs up by nearly 40% in hillside neighborhoods. Many homeowners are being dropped from coverage entirely left to gamble on luck. Add in slower job growth and rising taxes, and the financial weight becomes unsustainable. Yet through all this, Oakland still has soul, the murals, the music, the resilience. But soul alone can't sell a house. The market is tired, the buyers are wary, and the foundation feels shaky. Number 8, Stockton. A city that once symbolized resilience after the Great Recession is now watching that hard-won progress start to slip away. In 2026, the cracks are widening again. And this time, the warning signs are impossible to ignore. The median home price hovers near $475,000, while the average household income struggles to reach $68,000. That gap might not look shocking by California standards, but for Stockton, it's the kind of imbalance that sparks a slow unraveling. Families who stretched to buy during the pandemic boom are now dealing with adjustable rate resets, inflated insurance, and shrinking equity. Foreclosures are up 15% year over year, and nearly 1 in 4 listings slashed their asking price in the first quarter of 2026. On average, homes sit unsold for 50 or more days, a stark contrast to the bidding wars and cash offers of just a few years ago. Meanwhile, crime remains a persistent scar. Stockton's violent crime rate sits among the state's highest, eroding buyer confidence and pushing investors to safer ground. And even as new construction continues to sprawl on the city's outskirts, demand isn't keeping up. Empty houses are rising faster than occupied ones. What's happening in Stockton isn't dramatic, it's gradual. And that's what makes it dangerous. A slow squeeze on working families, a fading sense of security, and a market that feels increasingly hollow. Number 7, San Diego. A city of endless summer ocean breezes and postcard perfection. It's the kind of place that makes you believe life here must be worth any price. But in 2026, that sunshine is masking a storm. The median home price has climbed back above $840,000, while the median household income lingers around $85,000. That imbalance forces many homeowners to spend more than 45% of their income on housing alone, before even counting insurance or taxes. And insurance has become San Diego's silent crisis. With wildfire exposure on the eastern edges, coastal erosion along the shoreline, and rising sea levels creeping closer each year, premiums have jumped nearly 60% since 2020. Some insurers have pulled out completely, leaving homeowners scrambling for limited, high-cost coverage. Even the once booming condo market downtown is cooling. Developers' overbuilt demand has softened, and more than 1 in 4 listings in early 2026 saw price cuts. Property taxes among the state's highest and new water usage fees have further tightened household budgets. San Diego still looks like paradise palm trees, perfect weather, a thriving food scene. But behind that postcard view lies one of the most financially strained housing markets in the country. The city's lifestyle premium has become a liability, a beautiful trap for those who buy at the wrong time. Number 6, Burbank. Once the golden suburb of Hollywood where studio lights glowed and dreams were edited into existence, is now facing a reality cut that no one saw coming. In 2026, this postcard-perfect town is buckling under financial strain. The median home price here has climbed near $970,000, while the average household income hovers around $92,000. That might sound manageable on paper, but interest rates above 6.5% and property taxes among the highest in Los Angeles County make ownership here brutally expensive. Insurance premiums are another silent villain. With record heat wildfire exposure from the Verdugo Mountains and multi-year drought conditions, average annual coverage costs have risen above $4,700 for basic protection. Many longtime residents now spend nearly half their take-home pay on housing-related expenses. Even Burbank's advantage proximity to major studios and creative jobs isn't offering much shelter. The entertainment industry's post-strike contraction has slowed hiring, and layoffs in animation and production tech are rippling through the local economy. Homes that once sold in bidding wars now sit for 2 months or longer before a serious offer appears. The city still looks idyllic tree-lined streets, classic diners, sunshine glinting off studio gates. But beneath the veneer, buyers are nervous, sellers are desperate, and the market feels eerily overproduced, like a set that's losing its lighting. Number 5, Santa Cruz, the bohemian soul of California's coastline, where surfers, artists, and dreamers have long found their refuge between the redwoods and the sea. But in 2026, that laid-back paradise is showing serious financial strain. The median home price in Santa Cruz now sits at a staggering $1.18 million, while the average household income barely rises above $87,000. That makes it one of the least affordable housing markets in the entire United States, where even middle-income families spend more than half their gross earnings just to keep up with mortgage payments. Insurance has become a nightmare. The city faces a trifecta of climate threats: coastal flooding, sea level rise, and wildfires in the surrounding hills. Premiums have surged 45% since 2022, with some homes now requiring specialized fire coverage that costs thousands per year. Even then, certain coastal policies are being denied altogether. Market activity is cooling fast. In the first quarter of 2026, nearly 27% of listings saw price reductions, and homes are lingering on the market twice as long as they did before the pandemic. Younger families are leaving for inland counties, while retirees and investors hesitate to buy into a market that feels like it's balancing on a cliff. Santa Cruz still has that irresistible magic: the boardwalk, the surf, the sunsets that turn the horizon gold. But for most buyers, the cost of living that dream has become financially reckless. Number 4, Santa Barbara, where Spanish architecture meets California's Mediterranean coast, a city long hailed as paradise for the elite. But in 2026, that paradise comes with a punishing price tag and a growing list of warning signs. The median home price here now flirts with $1.45 million, while the average household income sits around $93,000. That's not just a gap, it's a canyon. The average mortgage payment has ballooned beyond $5,000 a month. And that's before counting property taxes, which rank among the steepest in the state. But the true financial storm in Santa Barbara is environmental. Wildfire risks from the foothills, mudslides during winter rains, and ongoing drought conditions have made insurance almost unaffordable. Annual premiums now top $5,200, and some hillside homes can't even qualify for standard coverage anymore. The market is cooling at the top. In the first quarter of 2026, nearly 30% of listings cut their asking price. An average time on the market has stretched past 70 days. Even luxury buyers are hesitating, a sign that sentiment is shifting. And it's not just the wealthy feeling the squeeze. Since 2024, more than 8,000 residents have left, many of them service workers, teachers, and small business owners priced out of their own community. As workforce housing disappears, local businesses are struggling to stay open. Santa Barbara still photographs like heaven, palm-lined streets, ocean breeze, and that postcard perfection. But behind every breathtaking sunset lies a market teetering on the edge of imbalance. Number 3, Palm Springs. The desert oasis, once synonymous with old Hollywood glamour, mid-century design, and endless poolside leisure, is now feeling the full weight of its geography. In 2026, the luxury is still there, but so is the risk. The median home price sits around $670,000, with median incomes barely reaching $72,000. It's an equation that no longer adds up. Homeowners are facing escalating utility costs, surging insurance rates, and an unforgiving climate that's pushing this market toward a slow boil. Last year, Palm Springs recorded more than 70 days above 110 degrees Fahrenheit, breaking yet another heat record. Air conditioning now consumes a massive share of household budgets, while water restrictions tighten with each passing summer. Insurance premiums, particularly in high-risk zones, have climbed 55% since 2023, and some carriers have withdrawn entirely. Developers haven't slowed down either. Overbuilding during the short-term rental boom has left the market saturated, with nearly 1 in 3 listings cutting prices in early 2026. The result is a strange paradox: plenty of homes, but fewer willing buyers. Tourists still flock here for weekend escapes, and the city's image of leisure remains intact, at least on Instagram. But behind the shimmering pools and mountain views lies a market, buckling under environmental and economic pressure. Palm Springs is still beautiful, still iconic, still shimmering under the desert sun. But that same sun, the one that built its reputation, is now threatening its future. Number 2, Mendocino. Perched on the edge of Northern California's rugged coastline, framed by redwood forests and dramatic cliffs, looks like a postcard from another time. Peaceful, untouched, eternal. But in 2026, this peaceful isolation has become its greatest liability. The average home price now sits above $655,000, while the median household income barely reaches $62,000. That imbalance has priced out most local workers and forced many families to relocate inland. What's left behind is a shrinking, aging population and a housing market that's slowly freezing in place. Insurance costs are climbing fast. With wildfire exposure across forested zones and storm damage along the coast, homeowners here pay an average of $4,900 per year for basic coverage. Some carriers have stopped writing new policies altogether, leaving buyers to rely on expensive state-backed plans. Infrastructure is another silent crisis. Roads buckle during winter rains, power outages are common, and broadband remains unreliable in many parts of the county. Access to healthcare and essential services is limited, which makes relocation, not residency, the growing trend. In the first quarter of 2026, 35% of listings saw price reductions, the highest in Northern California. Yes, Mendocino is still breathtaking, the kind of place where fog rolls in like poetry and time seems to slow. But beauty doesn't pay the bills, and tranquility can't sustain a tax base. Mendocino isn't collapsing overnight. It's eroding one family, one insurer, one empty house at a time. Number 1, San Francisco, the city of innovation icons and impossible views once defined the future of urban living. But in 2026, that future looks far less certain. The Golden Gate still glows at sunset, yet beneath it the city's housing foundation is cracking. The median home price hovers around $1.3 million, among the highest in the nation. Meanwhile, the median household income stands near $125,000, impressive on paper, but not nearly enough to offset housing insurance and tax burdens that continue to soar. The pandemic exodus has left a lasting mark. Since 2021, more than 60,000 residents have left San Francisco, including thousands of tech professionals and families who once powered its economy. Downtown vacancy rates remain above 30%, and nearly 1 in 3 homes listed in early 2026 saw a price cut. Crime and cost of living fears have compounded the damage. Property theft and vandalism persist in commercial corridors, discouraging both small business owners and would-be buyers. Insurance premiums now top $6,000 a year, while HOA fees for condos routinely exceed $2,000 per month. Even luxury homes are sitting on the market longer than ever, a sign that prestige alone no longer guarantees profit. San Francisco's identity hasn't disappeared: the creativity, the energy, the unmatched scenery. But it's been hollowed out by cost and consequence. The city still carries weight, but not the same hope. California's housing story in 2026 isn't about sudden collapse, it's about a slow, grinding correction. Prices haven't crashed, but the illusion of endless growth has. Across the Golden State, the same pattern repeats: sky-high costs, shrinking affordability, and a mass migration reshaping the map one moving truck at a time. First, interest rates remain high enough to choke affordability even as prices plateau. Second, insurance and property taxes are climbing faster than incomes, especially in coastal and wildfire-prone zones. And third, inventory is quietly stacking up: more sellers, fewer qualified buyers, and a growing fear that the peak has already passed. But not everything is bleak. For patient buyers and smart investors, a market like this offers opportunity. As overvalued cities correct, new regions from the Inland Empire to parts of northern Nevada are starting to look more promising. The key isn't to panic, it's to prepare. So whether you're planning to buy, sell, or simply survive this housing storm, Remember, this real estate isn't just about location anymore, it's about timing. And timing right now favors caution over emotion. Which city shocked you the most in this list? Let us know in the comments and tell us if you've seen similar trends in your area. If this breakdown opened your eyes, hit subscribe, because the next chapter of the California housing market forecast for 2026 is still being written, and you'll want to know where it's heading before it hits your wallet. Tease and tell us if you've seen similar trends in your area. If this breakdown opened your eyes, hit subscribe, because the next chapter of the California housing market forecast for 2026 is still being written, and you'll want to know where it's heading before it hits your wallet.